Oh, Petey. It's always Petey, isn't it? Today we are talking about the I-5 Highway 99 rivalry to be, and discussing a trade idea between the Vancouver Canucks and the Seattle Kraken, as pondered about by Jason Brough on Twitter the other day. You see, this conversation is a few days in the making, but essentially, it was all started because of this tweet posted by NHL Rumor Report. It cited what David Pagnotta said on an episode of The Sheet with Jeff Merrick on January 23rd regarding Seattle Kraken forward Shane Wright. Pagnotta said this is not a scenario where the Seattle Kraken are giving up on Shane Wright. This is Seattle wanting, going back to the draft in June, to add star power to the lineup. Proven star power. This is why you had Jason Brough going out there and replying to the tweet saying, I wonder if there's a trade that could spark a Canucks-Kraken rivalry. Now, of course, this tweet isn't very direct as to what it is Brough is thinking about. There were some replies that understood, but others that definitely were not. But you then had yourselves Halford and Brough in the morning from yesterday, January 27th, and in particular, the opening segment of the show is an Evander Kane trade brewing. This is where Brough brings up the idea of a Shane Wright for Elias Pettersson trade. Not saying that it's going to happen, not going out there and sparking up the rumor mill and saying that this is inevitable, but just hypothesizing the idea. If the Seattle Kraken are interested in moving Wright, not because they're shopping him necessarily, not because they want him gone, but because they want some top-tier star power, and because they know they haven't really been all too great at developing these young guys lately. If there is a trade to happen where Seattle can trade away the value and the upside of a Shane Wright and get somebody that is already proven to have been an NHL star in return, seems like the Kraken would be interested in doing that. Now, it's funny. Halford and Brough on the program, they don't necessarily say that it is a slam dunk for either team. They're not even saying it's 1-for-1. It would probably be Pettersson for Wright and a bunch of other stuff. But Halford, especially on the program, even brings up the idea that's like, yeah, if I'm Seattle and I'm trading Shane Wright and some stuff for Elias Pettersson, I'm worried. I don't know necessarily if Elias Pettersson is that guy who can fully get back to the point form that he was at where he was scoring 100 on a year, where he was a 90-point guy before he got hurt, where he was one of the best young two-way centers in the league, let alone even just being one of the best two-way centers in the league whilst producing all these points. We don't know really if it's a physical issue. Is it all mental? Is it that the game has just caught up to him? Is he confident enough to be able to take charge in the way that he did in the past? Will he live up to that dollar amount? I don't know. And it's why the folks on the program are kind of worried from Seattle's POV if Elias Pettersson is the guy that they are getting. And I can understand that, For Vancouver, even though there is this internal belief that says that Pettersson probably can become better if he goes to another team, it's not guaranteed. I would say it's probably more likely that PD excels away from Vancouver rather than just staying here in a city that pretty much has a target on his back. Everybody talks about Mr. 11.6. Oh, he is overpaid. He ruined the team. Yada, yada, yada. JT Miller. There are so many hard feelings in this city. And maybe getting sent over to a new organization like one in Seattle where he can just be the guy, where he doesn't have to have all that baggage. He can take this new group of guys, Eberle, Beniers, and all of them, and just start cultivating a new chapter of his story. Maybe that works out for Elias Pettersson. Maybe it does. And for Vancouver, you would probably get Shane Wright and maybe some other draft pick or another prospect or two in return. Obviously, Shane Wright, 4th overall back in 2022, was supposed to be first overall, but he slipped by 3 teams. And now he's in a position where he's got 18 points in 52 games played, on pace for 28 on a season, a decline from the 44 points that he had last year. As we mentioned, though, Seattle has had a very difficult time developing younger players and actually seeing them become what they could be. I'd even argue that some of the top guys on the team were either just trade acquisitions, free agent acquisitions, or heck, Eli Tolvanen, really. It's hard to find Seattle in a spot where these young dudes are fully what they were supposed to be. And I know it's only been a few years, but you look at Matty Beniers, for example, he's got 36 points in 52 games played. This is a guy that I'd say a lot of people thought he would be in, like, Celebrini territory by now. This season that he's having is on pace for the same amount of points that he had as an 18-year-old. That is not really upward progression out of Matty Beniers. Shane Wright, same thing. He's technically getting worse from last year to now, which is why we are now seeing conversations saying that, yeah, the Kraken are open to moving this guy. They're not shopping him necessarily. They still think he's young. They still think he has value. But if they can trade Wright to get a proven star back, they'll do it. So cue Jason Brough and his conversation on Elias Pettersson and whether or not Vancouver would be a right fit. I'd say Shane Wright with the Canucks. Obviously, if you have him in the lineup, he is not going to be a number 1 center right away. You would need to develop him and allow him to grow into that. But I'd rather have a guy like Shane Wright, for example, developing long-term alongside of a Lekaramaki, alongside of a Coots down the middle, alongside some of these other players, than a number of other players that you could get in return for Elias Pettersson. I mean, if you assume a Pettersson trade goes through, what are the amount of genuine names that you could see coming back to Vancouver in that deal? Shane Wright is like one of the only guys I think we've actually penciled in there. All the other ones are like, okay, well, are we assuming just prospects? Are we assuming just picks? It can't just be those, right? You'd have to get at least a roster player back, and Shane Wright, while he is not as good as Pettersson, he is still very young, and he's got a lot of potential, so maybe there's a potential deal to be had there. And honestly, if you wanted to spark up the Canucks and Kraken rivalry, I do think it's moves like these that could get that going. Full send. Normally, you don't want to see teams make trades with interdivisional rivals, but let's be real. The New York Islanders just did that twice in the past 2 days. They traded with the Rangers, they traded with the Devils, and the Vancouver Canucks have made trades with the Kraken too. They traded away Daniel Sprong down there for future considerations. So at the end of the day, I don't think it's impossible. I also do think it's not worth not talking about. But do you think an Elias Pettersson trade to Seattle for Shane Wright is actually reasonable to think about at this stage? So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Jason Brough, Mike Halford, their episode will be linked in the description if you want to go ahead and listen to that yourself. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on, and bye.